I have something special for you. Today I have a new item sorter, and this is probably the fastest item sorter there is. It sorts items at 4 times hopper speed, so that means 10 items per second per item or per slice, whichever way you want to put it. So I'm going to divide this video into 3 parts. So the first part I'm going to show you the system, how it works and that stuff. Then we're going to go into hopper mechanics to explain why it functions the way it functions. And then I'm going to show you the difference between the old item sorters, the new ones, and the whole system. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first of all, here I'm going to show you how it works. So here I've built up a little sorter. The first one sorts diamonds, iron, grass, wood, stone, and cobblestone. So just so you know it, I'm not cheating. Here we have a couple of items down here because I tested it before, so we have some items down here. And now I'm going to throw some more in there. So this chest, which was given to me by commands, so it has some items inside. We have 20 items of every item type. So I told you that it sorts items at 10 items per second per item. So that means I should be able to give it this amount of items every 2 seconds. So that means break 1, 2. Okay, now it's gonna break because some items land on top of the other chest. Okay, now it worked. Okay, yeah, okay. So break 1, 2, break 1, 2, break 1, 2, break, and it should sort everything. Okay, so we were too fast on the diamonds and on the grass, which should not be the case. Let's check it. Okay, it should have worked, but whatever. Now, how does it sort? So how did it sort it? So here we have the diamonds, as you can see, all of them are here. Here's the iron, grass, and logs and grass. So why are these items divided into top chests and bottom chests? That we're gonna explain in hopper mechanics in that part of the video. But now another part I should explain, why are the items not distributed equally between top chests and bottom chests? Well, that's item speed and update order. So the items are aligned with these anvils, so they're a bit further on this side than on this side over here. That means, as far as I know, this hopper picks up more items than this hopper. This means that they're not perfectly distributed, and that leads to this not being perfect, this distribution of items over here. So, but now you saw how it works, so let's go into the mechanics of it and how to build it. So, first of all, hopper mechanics. How do hoppers work? Well, every 8 game ticks or 2.5 seconds, a hopper pulls. That means it, okay, place a hopper there, and a chest on top, it pulls one item from the chest to the hopper below. And every 8 ticks as well, it pushes one item from the hopper down to whatever is below it, or on the side, like in this case, to the side. So this means every 8 ticks, it pushes one item out of the hopper and pulls one item in. That means if we have 2 hoppers above each other, every second, or every 8 game ticks, let's say every 8 game ticks, the top hopper pushes one item down and the bottom hopper pulls one item. That means every 8 game ticks, 2 items are transferred between these hoppers. So, since one hopper can only pull 2.5 items, 2 hoppers can transfer 5 items per second. Okay, so now that we know how much they transfer, let me prove it to you. So over here we have a stack, and over here we have a stack. All the rest is empty. So here I powered these hoppers so they don't transfer anything. So let me turn that off for a second and show you what happens. So now they're transferring. Let's keep it on for a second. Now let's turn it back off. So this hopper pushed 24 items down there. Over here, this hopper, okay, one's still stuck in there. So one's stuck in there, so that's 1, and 11 is 12. So this over here was twice as fast. That proves my point. This over here transfers 2.5 items per second, and this here is double hopper speed, transferring 5 items per second. So now we know how to transfer items through hoppers. But we have a problem. If we have, again, the same setup here, now here we have 2 hoppers, here we have 3 hoppers. Let's do the same thing again, because we don't want to store the items in hoppers, we want to get them into chests. So we got that turned on, now let's turn it off again. Over here we have 39 items, so the same amount got pulled. Now down here we have 25 items. Everything arrived at the end. Over here we have 12 items. And we have 13 stuck in the hopper. Why? Well, this hopper down here pulls item out of the hopper. And that hopper pushes items down. So we have 5 items are transferred per second between these 2 hoppers. Between these 2 hoppers up here, we have the same thing. So over here, again, between these 2 hoppers, 5 items per second are transferred. But between the hopper and the chest, only 2.5 items are transferred because the hopper pushes down, but nothing pulls. So up here we have push-pull, down here we just have push. That means down here we transfer 2.5 items, up here we transfer 5 items per second. That means this hopper starts to clog up, and that's bad. So how do we go around that thing? We build this contraption here. So here we have a hopper that points into this hopper, which points into a chest. Below that we have a hopper that points into a chest. So between these 2 hoppers we have push-pull. So this hopper pushes, this hopper pulls, 5 items per second. Now to get out of this hopper we have a push over here and a pull down below. So 2.5 items over here, 2.5 down. Great. So this hopper should not get clogged up. Now the bottom hopper pulls 2.5 items and pushes 2.5 items out. Perfect. Everything works out. We do not have any hopper clog in this setup here. And if you want me to test it, let's just give it 32 items. Nothing should clog up. Everything works perfectly fine. Nothing clogged up, and we have not a perfectly equal distribution, but almost an equal distribution between the hoppers. Because the first item and the last item, they don't go through perfectly well. But in the grand scheme of things, if you put 10 shulker boxes of items through this, that one item does not really matter. Okay, so what do we do if we want to have 2 hopper streams going into there? Because back there, we're going to need that. So 2 hopper streams going into chests. So we have 2 double hopper speed streams coming from the top. Just place them like this. So we have these 2 hoppers at double hopper speed going, and we want to store that in chests. So this is a bit more complicated. Now, the first design we have is, okay, let's start with this one over here because it's easier. Every single hopper going to the side. And of course the 2 hopper streams up here. Now, this design works, but it's not great. So we have, if you run a ton of items through there, the same amount through this hopper stream as through this hopper stream. So then we end up with 3/8 up here and 5/8 down here. Well, this is not perfect because we get a lot of hopper clog down here, and if we have 2 hopper streams up here that are pushing 2 items, 5 items per second here, 5 items per second here, it all works out, but it's, yeah, the distribution is not perfect. And this hopper up here starts clogging up pretty fast. So if this chest gets full, this hopper clogs up, and we have only 2.5 items leaving this hopper per second. So this is bad. That means once the first chest is full, this thing gets a lot slower. Gets half, yeah, it gets half, twice as slow, sorry. So then if this thing would clog up, we would have, in the final design, we would have 5 items per second sorted and not the 10 items that we want. With this design over here, we improve that a bit. So here, a quarter goes in the first chest, a quarter into the second, and half of it into the last one. That means these 2 chests fill up, but once these 2 chests are filled, these 2 chests below here are also filled. Oh, by the way, the difference between this setup and this setup is that here we have a hopper facing down, and the rest is the same. So once we have, okay, so to explain it, if we fill this chest up down here, that means half of it, half of the whole thing we threw in there was 1 chest. That means in total we threw 2 chests in there. Now a quarter of 2 chests is half a chest. So that means this chest would be half full, this one would be half full, and this one would be full. So we would not have any hopper clog at that time. Now let's put that amount in there again. So now we put 4 chests in there. And this works out perfectly fine, because if this chest down here clogs up, these hops clog up, and all that stuff simply is moved up here one row up. So then this chest would start filling up. So that means this chest gets full, these two are half full. Then this chest fills up, and once this chest is full, these two chests are also full. And the whole system is full without any hopper clog. So for 4 chests, this hopper setup is perfect. Now, if you want to add more than 4 chests, we have a little bit of a problem. So if we look at this, as I said, first of all, this chest fills up. That means this hopper clogs. Then these two hoppers start clogging, and this chest starts filling up. What that means is that, as we said before, once this chest fills up, these two chests also fill up. That means these two hoppers clog. And if these two hoppers are clogged, the speed of the transfer speed of these hoppers here is greatly reduced, and that's bad. So this design would also only transfer items or only sort items at 5 items per second instead of the wanted 10. So this works fine for the first 4 chests, but is shit afterwards. So in conclusion, for 4 chests, this 2 hopper rows design with this 1 hopper facing down is perfect. For more than 2 chests, we need a bit of a different design. So we have 3 different options here. We have, first of all, the 2-sided chest design, which simply splits these 2 streams into 2 hopper streams, one to this side, one to this side. That means all these hoppers are facing over there, and all these hoppers are facing over there. And it sorts the items perfectly fine. Another option is, of course, shulker box loaders. That means here we have 1 times hopper speed shulker box loader at 2.5 items per second, and the same thing on these other 3 ends. So that means with this one slice, we would hook it up to 4 different 1 white tileable shulker box loaders, and we would get a sorter that sorts everything and packs it into shulker boxes. So this here is 1 white tileable, and if you would want to fill shulker boxes with 10 items per hour otherwise, with just putting 1 item sorter and 1 shulker box per slice, this thing would be about 4 times as wide. So this compacts all of this shulker box loading and sorting down to a quarter of the size from standard shulker box loading and sorting. Now this here it works, but it's impractical. So we have to use this design over here. Now we have 2 double hopper speed streams coming in, each of these being 5 items per second, in total 10 items per second. And you have to be careful when building these 3 hoppers face downwards. The rest faces over there. So we need 4 rows of hoppers or tiles. Why? Because we need to transfer at 4 times hopper speed. That means from one slice, or whatever you want to call it, tile, to the next, we need to transfer at least 4 times hopper speed. So that means we have a pull here, a pull here, a pull here, a pull here. That means 4 times pull equals 10 items per hour. Perfect, we have what we need. So this system here works perfectly fine for transferring items into 1 stack of chests. This here works for 2 stacks of chests. Has more storage in relation to the hoppers, but is impractical. Unless you want to put this in the middle and have 2 corridors with the same items stored. But that just looks awful. So I would not recommend using this if you want to build something pretty. I'd recommend this system over here, even though it takes twice as many hoppers per chest. Okay, now that we understand how hoppers work, I know that this might have been a bit technical, this part of the video, and some of you might have skipped over it, but this is important if you want to understand how this works. And I also hope that I explained it understandably. Okay. So now let's look at the differences between the old item sorter and the new double speed item sorter. The 4 times hopper speed item sorter is made up of 2 of these item sorters. So the old item sorter is made up like this. Everyone knows it, or I think everyone knows it. So anyway, we have a filter up here with 4 filter items and 41 items in that slot. So the other hoppers are all pointing downwards and are empty. This here sorts items at 2.5 items per second because up here we only have a pull and yeah, 2.5 items per second maxed out, can't be anymore. Now if we look at this one over here, here we have a push-pull relation between every single one of these hoppers. That means this can sort items at 5 items per second. Just this one little thing. And all it takes is this hopper pointing down, the same filter up here, and a second filter down here with 4 other filter items. So this filter item must not be the same as this one up here. Okay, and the first slot in this hopper needs to be completely filled up. So the new item sorter is twice as fast as the old one. We have 2 filters, and the second filter needs to be completely filled, and the first hopper needs to be pointing downwards. Okay, so this, if you do not want to build a gigantic thing, be sure to build this anyway, because this here is way better than this one. It's twice as fast. So even if you don't want to build a gigantic monster, use this one. It's way better than any old item sorter. Okay, so now that we've discussed what's the difference between the old one and the new one, that's twice as fast, let's look at the complete thing. So this here is the complete 4 times hopper speed item sorter, or at least one slice of it. So this sorts items at 4 times hopper speed, is 1 white tileable, very simple to build, and sorts at 10 items per second. So if anyone was wondering, these chests up here are just to line up items, because if you throw them against a chest, they land on both of these hoppers, so that means both these hoppers can pick them up. And I used that to test all these the item distributions back here, where you can see the 1/4, 1/4, 1/2, and so on. So that's what these chests up here are for. Okay, so how do you build this? It's just one of these item sorters on this side, one of these item sorters on this side, and the hopper circuit that we designed in the beginning on the bottom of it. And you're done. So, what can you use this for? Well, uses for item sorters like this are, well, limited, because you do not need this item sorter for your standard base. In your normal base, normally a single item sorter like this is enough, or sometimes even this. This here only is very useful if you have gigantic farms that produce upwards of 100k drops per hour, like a guardian farm or a gold farm. Then these item sorters are very useful because it stops your sorting systems from becoming 20 blocks long. But instead you have like only a quarter of the size. So instead of 20 blocks long, you would have 5 blocks long and higher stacked chests, which looks a lot better in my opinion. Okay, so how do you build it? It's simple compared to here. 3 redstone dust here, a repeater facing into this block, and a torch here. 3 hoppers facing downwards here, and of course then the storage system below. And the filters are as discussed before. Okay, one more thing. This second hopper can be filled with 4 filters, different from the first one, and a stack of items, or with 5 stacks of items. This works exactly the same way. So if with things like cobblestone, you can use this thing because you do not want to waste anvil's uses on filter items. I understand it, it works. But for diamonds, I recommend using this filter because 5 stacks of diamonds is a lot, and you do not want to waste them for a storage filter. Okay, so this here is the design for 4 chests, but if you want to have more than 4 chests of storage, which I think you really need if you want to have a good farm that needs such a storage system and such a sorting system, then you're going to need this thing here. So this is the same circuit up here, and the hoppers down here are hoppers we designed back there, the green one, this one here. So that means the first 3 hoppers, which we can see right here, these 3 hoppers here, are all facing downwards, and the rest is facing over there. Now, you need these 4 tiles of hoppers. You can't get away with 3 or 2, because then you have hopper clock and the whole filter slows down. So you need all of these hoppers. That's the bad thing about it. It takes a lot of hoppers. But the good thing is that you can expand this downwards forever, or as far as you want to. Because if you can add 10 more chests down here and add the hoppers, and it would sort it up without clogging up any way whatsoever. Okay, so this is the finished sorting circuit. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of different from what I usually do, but I hope that this here is useful for a lot of people. Please be sure to share this thing with every single other redstoner or farm builder or Minecrafter you know, because I think this could really help out a lot of people, a lot, because it speeds up item sorting by about 2 times the speed from what we originally had, and 4 times the speed from the completely old one. So this here, I think this might even become the newest standard item sorter. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Go subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!